What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 22 for My Team Career Mode Series Season 1, Round Number 2, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We're back at Jeddah for the first time on this game, and see how we go here. We're going to put an engine upgrade on the car, mainly because I want to unlock the ERS upgrades, because ERS is one of our biggest issues. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit worried going into this race because, of course, the Jeddah street circuit, very fast circuit. You know, a lot of you're literally flat out for most of the thing. So I'm a bit worried about our lack of ERS, because we were really struggling with ERS in Bahrain, and also. But on the positive side, though, there is a lot of heavy braking zones, so potentially it won't be too bad. Now, before we get into this one, though, we've actually got our first Pirelli Hot Lap kind of event thing, which is basically where you take a supercar around and do some challenge. This one is an average speed challenge, and I'm going to be honest, I really struggled with this. This was, you kind of get 3 attempts each time you try it. This was my first attempt and my best attempt, and I only got a bronze. I found it really difficult. I don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is, but I found it really difficult driving the car. It was a McLaren, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I found it really difficult driving that supercar. It just handled completely different to an F1 car, which you expect, but yeah, it wasn't great. Looking at performance, not really any changes here. We've moved a little bit higher ahead of McLaren, and I didn't actually realize that we were ahead of McLaren on R&D last race, but we were pretty much joint with them, and then a small little gap to Aston Martin behind, and a slightly bigger gap to Williams, although as we saw last time out, we ended up, well, we finished P20 of 21. That was mainly because of the pit stop we had, but yeah, we were pretty much fighting the Williams and the Aston Martins throughout the race. The McLarens seem to have a little bit of an edge on us, although, you know, even though we are supposed to be level on R&D, the McLarens did seem to have a bit of an edge last time, but I think we would have been right there with them if we didn't have that pit stop issue. So qualifying, I'm showing you the whole qualifying here for Q1 because we don't make it through to Q2, kind of to be expected. I don't expect to be getting out of Q2. I think we should have a couple of times this season, really, especially towards the end of the season, when hopefully we start becoming better and, you know, progressing our way up the field, where we will get through to Q2. But I'm not expecting it in the first few races, and yeah, it doesn't really bother me. Qualifying's never been my best thing anyway, and just like in F1 2021, the AI do seem quite a bit punchier in qualifying than they do in the race. Also, there's just the fact that I'm still trying to figure out difficulties. I think so far, actually, and including this race, which you'll see today, I think I've got the difficulty pretty good so far, but yeah, it's really going to variate, sure, from track to track. So we'll just have to see how that goes. So like I said, we do get out. Actually, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas also out in Q1 here, so that's quite surprising. We end up P18 though, so it's a decent result, out-qualifying our teammate once again, who starts P20. So let's get underway.
We're here today on the shores of the Red Sea in the lower Hejaz Mountains to visit one of the newest circuits on the Formula One calendar, Jeddah, home to what we all hope is going to be a thrilling Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at a topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Perez, Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Gasly, and Esteban Ocon, Ricciardo, Norris, Yuki Tsunoda, and Joe, Russell, Magnussen, Shaw, and Alex Albon, Liam Lawson, Latifi, Stroll, and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you here with us today. But I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Alright, so here we go, formation lap time. So as you can see, or as you can tell if you did watch my last one in Bahrain, I have actually changed the commentator this time to Alex Jakes. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to alternate between Crofty and Alex Jakes from race to race, just to mix it up a bit and make it a little bit different really. So yeah, we will be back to Crofty next time and then back to Alex, and we'll just switch backwards and forwards just to keep a little bit of difference in everything. We get a pretty damn good grid start there actually. Yeah, I think we pretty much nailed that one, to be honest. We're right on that yellow line on the right there, so I reckon that was pretty good. And here we go to 5 red lights for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for the first time in F122. Lights are out and away we go. It's actually a pretty good start for us in comparison to Kevin Magnussen on the left there, who does not get a good start at all. We're actually catching Russell up ahead. He had a penalty, grid penalty, so he starts down the back as we actually get completely mugged off by Alex Albon and Magnussen into turn one. We've not had the best start there, actually a little bit of contact, so I'm just checking my heads up display, but doesn't seem to be any damage. I think we've done alright there, but now Albon coming under threat from Magnussen. That Haas, definitely a quicker car. Magnussen did not have a very good qualifying going out in Q1. His teammate up possibly even in the top 10 or maybe just outside the top 10, so Magnussen is out of position, but he is still quite slow here as we get going down towards the first hairpin, and we are just putting pressure on him. But it's actually now one of the Aston Martins, I believe, of Sebastian Vettel going for a move on us round the outside of the hairpin, but we've just about managed to fend that one off. Vettel's very, very punchy in this game so far. We had a great little battle with him in Bahrain, and looks like we're going to have a bit of a battle with him once again here. And as we continue on, Vettel still all over the back of us. We're losing touch to Magnussen a little bit, but it's to be expected. I mean, I expect to be racing the Williams, the Aston Martins, potentially the McLarens, although the McLaren seems to be doing better than they are on paper. I don't expect to be racing with the Haas because, weirdly enough, and as weird as it sounds coming from how they were in 2021, the Haas are too quick for us in this game. So yeah, Magnussen is now starting to pull a little bit of a gap ahead. Alex, though, doing a good job as well, just in front of him. So I expect him to maybe come back, but Magnussen is coming into the pits. It must have been a little bit of contact with someone, I'm guessing Albon, when he jumped and dived up the inside. Magnussen in the pits. I'm actually just checking with my engineer to make sure the car is okay, and he says, yep, no worries at all. He just kind of mentions that tire condition is good, and that generally means that there's no other car problems. As we look once again at the front of the grid at the start there, Charles Leclerc gets an amazing start from second on the grid, and he has jumped Max Verstappen into turn one, and he's into the lead. Of course, Leclerc looking to take the top spot at Ferrari because, of course, Carlos Sainz was the driver who won the first race of the season, but Sainz has not had a good start here. He's gone backwards compared to his teammate going forwards. Lewis Hamilton has been overtaken by Fernando Alonso at the start, but lap number 2, he's going back for the move on the Spanish two-time world champion. Of course, 9 championships between these two here as they go side by side through turn 2. It is very, very close with these guys. You've actually got Mick Schumacher in the Haas right behind them, so Mick doing a great job here. I reckon he's well in the top 10 at the moment. I'd say that's about P7, P8 that Mick's found himself in at the moment, so great stuff from him. Alonso manages to keep the position from Hamilton, though, at that point in time. Then you've got me sizing up a move now on Alex Albon, because with Vettel, no, I think we've got past, oh no, yeah, we got past Vettel, didn't we? Well, we never got overtaken by Vettel, and now we're looking for a move round the outside on Alex Albon. It's beautiful round the outside of the hairpin, but out of the corner. That Williams is a pretty slippery car in a straight line. We're just using as much ERS as we dare. DRS not enabled yet, and we're going to make sure we outbrake him into turn 1 through turn 2, and we just position our car well enough to get ahead of the Williams. Williams and the Aston Martin are the main two that we need to be beating here because they are our rivals so far this season. As we have a look back, Carlos Sainz trying to make his position back up on Sergio Perez. Perez managed to overtake Sainz for P3 at the start of the race, but now Sainz fighting back with the Red Bull. The Ferrari and the Red Bull seem to be in somewhat of a league of their own compared to everyone else. Of course, Hamilton managed to kind of stick with these guys in Bahrain, but this time around, mainly because Hamilton's been fighting with Alonso, the two Ferraris and Red Bulls have just kind of pulled away a decent gap to the rest of the field. And as we then have a look just behind us, we've just got past Albon, and now Sebastian Vettel is trying to make a move on the Thai Brit driver as they go side by side through this whole section. It's some great racing in Saudi Arabia here. They're still side by side around here. Neither are going to give up, but Vettel just about manages to get himself through. And now my teammate Liam Lawson is looking for a move. He's now side by side with Alexander Albon. Albon is just, after an amazing start, is now starting to fall down the order because that Williams just does not have the pace of everyone else here. But he's not going to go down easily as he is still side by side with Liam Lawson, my teammate, and they are just having a great battle here. You've now got Lance Stroll in the other Aston Martin behind. He's sniffing around looking for a move here as Albon tries it round the outside of the final hairpin. He's not quite been able to done it there, but he will now have DRS, but I'm not sure if it's going to quite be enough. Although, does Alex have DRS? Alex does have DRS from Vettel up ahead, but Lawson still looking around the outside but can't quite do it at this point in time, and will have to wait until later. As you can see here, the Red Bulls and the Ferrari, they have really pulled a decent gap to the rest of the field, and now Max Verstappen is going for a move on the lead with Charles Leclerc here trying to go around the outside of the hairpin. Carlos Sainz now caught right up to the back of these guys, and it's now going to be a four-way battle for the win. Well, not for the win yet, we're only early stages, but for the lead of this race. Carlos Sainz, though, with the DRS, has managed to get past his teammate Charles Leclerc and is now going for a move on Verstappen for the race lead. They go side by side through turn 1, through turn 2. Carlos Sainz has just been helped out massively with that DRS. Leclerc's gone from first down to third, and it's his teammate who's now fighting with Verstappen for the lead, and he's almost got it done. Verstappen, though, not giving up easily, coming back, and Sainz has to back out. Max Verstappen gets the race lead from Charles Leclerc, but Carlos Sainz is now the second place driver in the lead Ferrari. As we continue on here, going very deep into the hairpin because Sebastian Vettel is all over the back of us. He was looking for a move round the outside. That slightly compromised our run onto the straight here, but we've got DRS from actually George Russell up ahead because he's not being able to fight his way through the field here. He's around much slower cars than that Mercedes, but he just can't make a move, and at the moment he's got a roadblock of Tsunoda and Zhou Guan Yu. I need to try and remember to start calling him Zhou Guan Yu, not Guan Yu Zhou, because that is how you're supposed to say his name. And Russell just must be hating it right now because he's taken a grid penalty and just can't make his way through the field at the moment. But looking at him here, he is now making a move on Tsunoda round the outside of the hairpin. It's a risky place to get a move done. There's a little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of a slide from Russell as they're still side by side going through this whole section. I'm just watching this all happen in front of me, but then Russell gets his elbows out a little bit, still tries to fight it through the next corner, but he hasn't quite got it done. Now I've got a great run off the corner, but I just have nowhere to go. I've got ERS to use, I've now got DRS, but just nowhere to go with the roadblock in front. And now Sebastian Vettel is coming for a move on me. We go 2 by 2, side by side for all 4 cars, you know, 2 groups of 2 cars each there, as we're now still side by side. Russell and Tsunoda, me and Vettel. Vettel manages to get the move on us, but we just tuck up behind him. We're just trying to make him go defensive into the hairpin, try and go round the outside of the hairpin, but we're just not quite close enough. Russell still battling with Tsunoda up ahead. This is a great little battle we've got going on here. As now, once again, we're just tucked up behind Sebastian Vettel. This time, we get a good old run with a lot of ERS usage as well, but we just brake a little bit too early there, just a bit worried about getting caught up in a bad scrap at that point in time, and we can't quite make a move back on Vettel. as we have a look at the two McLarens here doing a decent enough job. I think they might be a bit outside the points, but they're close. But both McLarens having a look on, I believe it's Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, as they're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. It's a McLaren sandwich for Esteban Ocon, and they're still 3 wide through turn 2. What is going on? This is some crazy battling. I think Daniel Ricciardo has to back out. One of the McLarens there has to back out, but yeah, is this Ricciardo or is this Norris? I honestly can't see. I can't see the helmets, but one of the McLarens tries to make the move, but in the end, Ocon manages to hold on. And just battles are going on throughout this whole race. Russell's managed to finally get his way past Tsunoda, and he's kind of breezing off in the distance now because he's a much quicker car. But now Sebastian Vettel is making a move on Yuki Tsunoda, and Liam Lawson's caught right up, and he's now side by side with me, and we almost go 4 wide, but it is 3 wide into the hairpin. We back out of that because we just do not think that's going to work out well. Tsunoda makes contact with Vettel. We get up the inside of Lawson. It's all craziness here. I thought Tsunoda might have had a bit of wing damage, but he's not come into the pits. He's still trying to get past Vettel, or Vettel's got past him. Now Lawson is coming through, but we're going to defend from that because we do not want to be overtaken by my teammates in this race. Tsunoda, we get very close to the back of him, but we importantly keep ourselves in front of Lawson. And now we've got to try and make a move on Tsunoda down this point here, which used to have DRS, but it seems like they've actually changed some of the DRS points. I don't think, well, I guess they must have in real life changed the DRS points as well, but it wasn't something that I noticed until playing the game. But we managed to get up the inside of Tsunoda, but now Tsunoda's going for a bit of a dive bomb into the final hairpin. He gets his way alongside but can't quite make a move, but he's going to be very close behind me now, but I've still got DRS from Vettel, and we're just deploying as much ERS as we can, and we're going to try go round the outside into turn 1. He takes a very tight line, and we just swing it round, get the move past Vettel, and now we're through. We've got some clean air, and a couple of laps later we come into the pits as well. It's been a pretty action-packed first few laps there, first stint. As we come in for our pit stop, it's another optimal turn in, but once again here, this time it's the front left. It's very, very slow. What is going on here? It's another 5-second pit stop. It's actually a 10th slower than last time. And even though once again we get an optimal turn in, it's another issue in the pit stop that's probably going to cost us in this race. It's absolutely terrible. We definitely need to upgrade the pit kind of crew in this game, because yeah, that's twice now. We've got optimal turn-ins, which is supposed to give us the best possible pit stop, and we've had pit issues both times. I think it was the front right last time. It's the front left this time, as we actually come out side by side with Liam Lawson when he comes out of the pits, but we've just got better traction on the warm hard tyres. He's got completely stone cold hard tyres, so it's going to take a while for him to bed those tyres in, and we get the move done. And as you can see, we end up Vettel and Tsunoda jumped us in the pits because of our pit stop, but we are so much quicker than these guys on the warmer hard tires, and I just couldn't. I was right up the back of Vettel through that section, and I just couldn't do anything because it's just not a place where you can overtake, but we were so much quicker than him. But unfortunately, by the time we can actually make a move, his tires have warmed up quite a bit, but we're going to go for a move around that first hairpin once again here on Tsunoda, because Vettel managed to make his way past Tsunoda, and now we're side by side with the AlphaTauri. It's ridiculously close. We just put our foot in, keep our foot in, and just get around that corner. I mean, his tyres would have been warmed up by this point, but we had slightly warmer tyres, and we just make the move stick. But Tsunoda ain't giving this one up easily. That AlphaTauri is a quicker car than our car, and he makes the move round the outside, going into the final hairpin here. And I just think I'm not going to dive bomb him here, because we will now get DRS from him. And if we can stay close enough, which we've stayed pretty close behind him here, we can potentially get a tow and move to the outside. We're just going to absolutely push him to the inside, dart out at the last possible moment, try and go late on the brakes as we can, but we actually don't go as late as he does. He gets a very good run through that corner. We slightly tag him, I think, as we come out of turn 2. Just going to check for wing damage, but it seems to be okay. We don't get a warning or anything for nudging into him, so I'm just going to carry on there because we didn't get a warning, as we go for a bit of a dive on the outside of Vettel into the final corner. We've got to make our move back on him once again with DRS enabled. We can just shoot through. He has got DRS as well. But we just get such a run off that corner. As you can see now, Lando Norris and Esteban Ocon going side by side through the next corner as well. I think it was Ricciardo that got, when we were talking about the two McLarens earlier, I think it was Ricciardo that got through because he's up the road. Norris is still here, stuck behind Ocon. And now we are catching up to the McLaren. We should be fighting with these McLarens, but hasn't happened so far yet. But it looks like we might get it this time as Norris makes a bit of a mistake through turn 1, just gets a bit of a wobble on and takes a very tight line, and we just squeeze our car, put our car in the perfect place and make the move stick, and we're now past Lando Norris in the McLaren. So this is turning out to be a pretty decent race so far, even despite the terrible pit stop. Further up towards the front of the grid, well, I said that the McLarens, the Ferraris and Red Bulls were way ahead of the grid. Well, they were at the start, but two of them have kind of fallen back a bit. Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc have fallen back from Sainz and Verstappen, and Leclerc is now finding himself under threat from Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes as they go too wide through a lot of this first section here. Hamilton trying to make a move. That Mercedes is not as quick as the Red Bull, but Perez is obviously struggling a little bit here as they're still side by side through this whole section. Some great racing going on, but Hamilton has to just kind of step out of it at that point. But he's hoping that he can now get a good run down towards the hairpin, and he's tucked up right behind the Mexican driver. He has a look to the outside, he dives to the inside, lovely little dive bomb there, and he gets a beautiful move at the hairpin. He's past Perez and up into what I believe is P4, so that is great for Lewis Hamilton. As now just ahead of us actually, you've got, is that Tsunoda or is that Gasly? I think that might be Gasly on Ricciardo, on Norris. It's Norris with the green helmet. I don't know, I'm losing track of what's going on in this race because there's just so much action going on. Yes, it is Tsunoda, but now he's got an engine failure as he's going wheel to wheel with Lando Norris. His engine goes pop, and that's it's the first failure of this race, but the second DNF, mechanical failure of this career mode. As now further up, we have a look now at Pierre Gasly. He's in a battle with Mick Schumacher. These guys are in the points, I think battling for P6, P7, something like that, maybe P8, P7, P8, but Schumacher not giving up here. He wants to score his first points in Formula 1. Of course, in real life, he's just scored his first points ever at the British Grand Prix, but he's wanting to do it. He's trying to do it much earlier here in round 2, Jeddah, and he's well ahead of his teammate, and putting up a good fight with Gasly there, but I don't think quite manages to get the position in the end. And on the final lap here, as we can see in the top left there, Carlos Sainz has won this race. We managed to just about defend from Lando Norris, who really puts us under pressure for this last lap, but we're going to come through for P13. We finish where our teammate finished in Bahrain, so it's a good result from us. No points, but a much better result than last time. What it could have been if we didn't have that bad pit stop, honestly, I think we could have potentially been in the low reach of the points, but it's still a good race.
They've delivered an outstanding performance today under intense pressure to take a well-earned victory here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
So Carlos Sainz takes 2 on the bounce. He wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and he's won both races so far in this My Team Career Series in this season. He's the only winner so far in this game for us. So he's showing at the moment that he is going to be the #1 driver at Ferrari. Max Verstappen comes home for P2, so it's a better result from him than last time out when he wasn't on the podium. Charles Leclerc, though, it's P3 for him, so he's on the podium again, but 1 spot further down than he was before. It's not a Ferrari 1-2 this time out, but then you've got Hamilton in 4, who gets ahead of Perez, so that's very good. Mick Schumacher there finishing, I think that was P7, so great result from him, and Gasly in P6. We're P13, our teammate Liam Lawson P15, so it's a decent result for the team, I think, altogether. Verstappen moves up to 3rd in the championship ahead of Perez now. Gasly moves up to 6th, so he's having a good time. Schumacher there now into the top 10. As we look down, Lawson's in P16, we're right behind in P17. Of course, though, none of us have points yet. And unfortunately, we actually moved down, even though, despite, I felt like having a good race, we actually moved down to P10 in the Constructors' Championship. Aston Martin now ahead of us in P9, which I'm a bit confused about because I don't think either of the Aston Martins beat us, but maybe it was because of our P20 in Bahrain. Maybe, you know, it's just they've had better average results, so they're ahead. It is Williams in last though. AlphaTauri move up a spot, and so do Haas. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.